Hello and welcome to So Farscape,
A fun-filled Farscape fancast by a fervent fan.
and a fascinated first-timer. Frankly fascinated.
Frankly fascinated. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And this is the story So Farscape. Oh, threw me off there a little bit.
Sorry, yeah, I don't know what happened there. I kind of maybe I'm not so frank today.
But you are...
Yeah, we had the hardest time finding an F alliteration for
earnest? No, yeah, okay. Well,
I mean, I know it's important to be earnest, but...
yes. Yeah, it is difficult, isn't it? Flimsy? No. Ferocious? Ooh.
Yeah, but not really that's not really relevant. Sounds good, but it's not really relevant. Anyway.
Foamy?
We are here for...
Hello, Season 4.
Episode 14. Twice Shy.
First aired on January 13th, 2003. Had a new director, Kate Woods.
Okay.
She did a bang-up job with a script that was still sort of being tinkered on while they were filming.
Bit of a bottle episode.
Yeah. Bit of a production sort of swapperoonie, because the previous episode, Terra Firma, needed extra time to finish the sets.
Right.
And so this episode was filmed first, but that shortened the amount of time that, what's the writer called? Oh, David A. Peckinpah had. Let me see what else David Peckinpah wrote. Actually, first script.
Okay.
First script for David. Imagine,
First script, first director.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I mean, I can kind of see that, but it felt a little bit, off, I suppose.
In what way?
Well, part of it was plot-driven, so I guess in that regard it would be on. Mm-hmm. It leaned quite heavily on the performance, I thought. I mean, I didn't find the story particularly interesting or enthralling.
Oh, okay. Well, I am now legally required to have absolutely loved this episode, as is the tradition of So Farscape. Where to start, though? I didn't remember a thing about this.
Right.
Honestly. Which is odd, because I've definitely seen Paula Arundel, I think that's how you say her name, is the actress who played Talika.
Yeah.
Apparently she was previously considered for, Nyala, one of the Pathfinders.
Okay.
Or even Graza. I think would have done a great job there as well.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah, it's interesting, for a first-time writer to be given an episode where it's about people behaving, extreme versions of themselves, and then
Opposites.
not themselves. So, a lot of it rested on the actors. Claudia Black and Ben Browder talked about it as well in the visual companion book, that... as an actor, normally you embody your character and you try to seek their motivations, but all of their emotions here, the extremely heightened versions and the complete lack of them, were unmotivated, which apparently was quite challenging to make that feel real.
Yeah, it goes a little bit cartoonesque, grotesque at some points, especially John being lackluster. It feels very... it feels a bit forced.
Heartbreaking, though.
Right.
Okay, let's jump into it.
Let's see what our listeners have to say.
Yes.
Do we jump in before or after we...
Wow, it's as if we've been bitten by brain spiders.
It's been a while. No, it's been 2 weeks. So, anyway, let's see what the listeners have to say, and then we jump in. I really can't remember in which order we do this normally. Anyway.
That sounds right. It sounds...
All right, well, let's see.
And I'm just stalling while I'm looking up the listener synopses.
I've got them.
Thank you. Well, I want to read some too, because we've got a lot. People have shown up.
Okay, soup. What kind of soup? Spider soup. The crew goes rabbit hunting to find a part of themselves. It sounds like a spiritual adventure, but it's far from it. Thank you, Going Metal $7.99.
Emotions run high when a polymorph joins the crew during a shopping trip. Will the crew of Red Dwarf, Moya, be able to track this critter down and put themselves together again before it's too late? Thank you, Marky See. Excellent Red Dwarf reference there. Do you remember the polymorph?
Oh, no.
It's also a brain thing.
Everyone is acting weird. Arachnid girl has disappeared. Along came a spider, exploded beside her. Let's just give up. We're unprepared. Thank you, Rick, from the Delta Quadrant.
Oh, along came a spider. Did you hear the little itsy-bitty spider music?
Oh, I didn't.
Toward the end there? Oh, brilliant. Oh, and Horsebird says, human trafficking strikes a nerve with Chiana, but little does anyone know. Nerves are what the trafficking victim is all about. Featuring bonus cable TV lesbians. Wow. John's daily affirmations and industrial levels of mouth froth. Thank you, Horsebird.
Yeah, I noticed that. Okay, now I think we push the button.
Yes, push the button.
All right, so now we go to the Jeeves. I remember that, because that sound triggers I need to get my Jeeves up. Reflex in me.
We are doing so well today. I think we're both really good at podcasting.
No,
you know
I'm
that?
sure we have. We've done it quite a lot up so far. So, yes.
Moya's floors are kind of dirty.
Little recap, yeah. Oh, it was not actually. It doesn't open with a before. Oh, yes, it does open with what happened before, but it's mostly a little bit of the relationship state between John and Aaron.
Yes, and most recently, Naranti had admitted to Aaron what she'd been dosing John with, or what she'd been providing for him.
What
as a
she
service.
seems to be unreasonably angry about.
Yeah.
And that's even before the spiders.
So we see Scorpius joining everyone in the
Cargo
maintenance bay, something like that.
Yeah, the room off the landing bay.
Where negotiation is taking place. There are some traders who do not look well. They've got all these sort of welts on their faces.
Yeah, little bumps and warts, or they seem a bit wet for warts. They seem more like,
Boils.
Boils, yes, that's probably a better word for it. And to my surprise, it's Naranti and Rigel who are doing the negotiations about star charts.
Yeah, and she's bad copping.
For 5,000 krinders, I want maps that are current and authentic.
I said 10.
And she said 5.
She's the one who suggests walking away.
5,000, yeah. It's pretty hard knife on the table negotiations.
Yeah, and even at the end, once they've settled on something.
The Dominar will pay you.
Yes.
Oh, she's hardcore. And meanwhile, the rest of the respective crews are sort of lounging around, weapons drawn, because apparently trading for, star charts.
Yes.
Remember those?
Yes. They need star charts for the tormented space.
Yep.
Because otherwise they won't be able to go around. But yes, a deal is struck for 7,000 of whatever the local currency is, which Rigel seems to be unusually smug about.
You have no idea.
Yes, even for
Rigel.
Yeah. Krendars, by the way, Scaran currency.
Right. We later find out that he's been forging.
Yes. Yes.
Which explains why he's so unreasonably pleased with himself.
What he passed off as 100 Krendar bits are actually only worth a 1/12 of that, but he added an extra digit.
Yes.
How does that work? What can you...
Presumably a base 12 counting system.
But then how do you get to 100?
It's 8 pieces, 8 times 12, 100. It's probably a 12 and a half, A bit is a piece of 8. Sorry, a piece of 8 is 8 bits. I mean, this is not an unusual currency thing.
Yes, but 8.5 is a weird multiplier.
No, it's 12 and a half times 8.
12.5 times 8, or 8.5 times 12.
Yeah, that's how fractions work.
Yeah. So you're saying it's a base 12.5 counting system?
Well, I'm just saying that the 12 times, he was probably rounding it down to, forgetting the half part.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, as a forger, he probably knows what he's doing. One hopes.
Good enough to fool them at first glance, apparently. But after the trades are over...
One more trade.
One more trade and no tricks, they say.
Yeah, which is kind of odd.
Okay. So the whole story is that this prisoner, this slave that they're very lasciviously trading, whom they claim to have...
enjoyed her, I believe is the phrase.
Absolutely vulgar. Chiana rightly jumps up. She is actually a brain spider, a Wallaxian arachnid.
Yes.
Who heightens people's emotions and then drains them of it and puts them in orbs and to eat later or something like that. So she's been doing that to this crew, which is why there's the boils. Do the crew know that at this point? Are they passing her off?
I don't think so.
Right?
I think it's just her manipulating them into basically being passed off towards the next ship that she's going to be feeding on. Because next time we see the the traders, they're all dead.
Yeah, but they do have a phone call going on or a recording with a diagnosan,
right,
who explains the plot to them.
But maybe that wasn't at this point. Maybe they only figured it out later.
Oh, that makes sense.
After Talika had left and wasn't being able to manipulate them anymore.
Yeah. That makes sense.
The interesting thing is that I found, if these traders, I want to keep calling them pirates, which they're not, they're traders.
No, they're not cool enough.
No, but if they've been drained and harvested, what part of their personality? They seem to still be like fairly tough on the negotiation table. It seems like a bit weird for them to.
Maybe they used to be sweet and bubbly.
Okay, maybe yeah.
And it's only the rottenness left
real
over.
friendly traders that are just like really helpful and good,
Yeah,
willing to
exactly.
provide everything.
I mean, maybe they're like...
Maybe they're like the Weller men of the tormented space.
What?
Oh,
Are Wellermen?
you know the song that soon will the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. That song?
I didn't, but I do
it's
now.
a shanty. It's a shanty.
Lovely. Yeah, it sounds
It was basically trading ships who supplied whalers with new supply and stock, food and drink and tea, and so they weren't actually doing the whaling themselves. They just like made sure that they went to the whaling grounds with the ships laden with goods, so that the whalers wouldn't have to.
mobile shops.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
it was the brothers Weller or Wellerman who ran that business, and they had several ships, and so hence the soon will the Wellerman come, and then we'll have supplies again.
Supplies.
So maybe that's what they were doing.
Oh, I feel really bad for them now. I mean, there were just these.
I mean, I feel pretty much bad for everybody who gets eaten by brain spiders. So
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure there are some people who deserve it, but generally speaking, my default will be feeling bad for you if you get eaten by brain spiders.
Yes. Especially because she had, like, no remorse.
You are food, and I eat.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Fair.
Which,
You know.
yeah, I totally get it.
Anyway, yes, Chiana insists that they buy the girl.
Hey, you just remembered her name just a second ago. I let this go.
I wrote it down.
Entirely. Talika, no, well done. You just straight up remembered a character's name. I'm really, really impressed. Actually, she made a bit of an impression. Because notice how completely different she is in every scene that she appears in.
Oh, yes.
So it just totally adapts to whatever situation
I
she's
mean,
in.
yeah, in the opening scene, she basically acts like the way you would expect someone to act who has been held on board for pleasure by shifty traders.
Yes.
She's extremely skittish, shying away from touch, to the point of, just actually being tossed around a bit, like starting to fly in a panic, really.
Yeah.
And already starting to infect people at this point. I know I think she's already doing the eye thing and touching people, and
Yes, she's
thereby
making a
infecting
point
them.
of touching everyone
Yes.
on the skin. The glove isn't enough.
Yes, okay.
Like you get the close-up where she just brushes Scorpius's cheek.
Right. I was kind of like, oh, they let her touch Chiana's makeup, so that's definitely a...
Oh, yes.
But yes, it's Scorpius who actually grabs her when she tries to fly off.
And now they have a free sort of extra. I don't remember exactly what the deal was.
800 crinders.
Oh, yes. John grabs off of Rigel and pays them with, because that was their demand.
Yeah, John goes like, yeah, whatever, pay him.
After Chiana did the unusual step of, like, putting a gun to Talika's head.
Okay, here's the deal. We take her, or I take her head off.
And even Darko goes, well, I think it's Rigel. Obviously, it's Rigel.
Shoot her. She's nothing to me.
Yeah, I don't care.
Who cares? Yes, exactly. And now we go to the credits, and then we come back, and everyone's just a little bit extra.
Yes. I mean, the first thing I've got written down is back to Farscape drama.
As if we didn't get enough of that last week.
Right, yes. But it's turned up to...
reset, this one, isn't
It's
it?
turned up to 11, yes. There might have been something like they didn't know in which order they were going to air these episodes. Well, it kind of has to be aired later, because considering how it ends. But they might have thrown that in towards the end of production. But yeah, John is going all melodramatic, and as it was like, why is Aaron so angry? Which I've got written down. I mean, she figured out that he's been using poppers, as he refers to it at one point. They're for something else, John.
So what I think she's feeling is betrayal and a dishonesty from John. Because John's been telling her that he's over her, that he doesn't have any feelings for her, and that's not true.
No.
It is not true, and he hasn't been honest about it. Now, of course, physician, heal thyself. Aaron
Is
has
also,
a spotty track record when it comes to emotional honesty
Yes.
with herself and toward John.
very much so.
But this I can understand, because this is also like what John kept demanding from her. He
Yes.
is not providing either.
And she later says, like, I've been doing everything right. I've been doing everything you asked for. I've been doing everything you said. And
That is true, isn't it?
yes, and of course, I guess with her emotions being dialed up,
Yeah.
that's why she's acting out so much. But then, yeah, I actually had this written out. I found it like, I know she's like angry woman, but
a woman scorned.
To me, it felt like they were overdoing it for drama's sake. But of course, it turns out
Right.
later that she's being manipulated and her.
So how would you describe like John's like exaggerated characteristic in this scene?
I think it's quite fun.
No, but what trait is it that he's exaggerating here?
Oh, drama?
Oh.
No, absolutely. The way he climbs up to the table, the way he falls to his knees and he's pleading with her. No, he is putting on a show.
See, I've been thinking about like what's everybody's trait because I felt very clever, having completely forgotten this episode apparently, and that it was this sort of heightened manipulation. That I sort of figured out. Oh, they're all being really extra versions of something about them. Like Erin is incredibly like principled and kind of sort of conservative and rigid in her demands of other people. She's very disapproving of people who fail. John, I think, is a problem solver. And he's constantly trying to mediate. Like later on when there's the fight between Dargo and Rigel, because he finds out about Rigel's counterfeiting, Rigel's gleeful in his greed, and Dargo's furious with him, really unreasonably furious. And John's just constantly jumping in between them, pacifying them, trying to keep the peace and solve this problem. And he does that for everyone, everywhere he goes.
I'd still say that like he's playing up his flamboyancy, because he is always that role. But he's now doing it like a little bit more flamboyant, I suppose.
It is fun to see. So flamboyant and... Oh, there's an F word.
Huh? Oh, wow. I wouldn't refer to myself as flamboyant, but...
Okay, from the F word to the L word, because we get some...
Oh,
finally,
yeah, sorry, it took me a while to catch on to that one. No, I get it. Talika has calmed down tremendously. She's like completely shied away from the shyness, I suppose. And I was yes. And at this point, I'm already, is she a plant? Because...
Now, in a science fiction program, plant can have multiple meanings. Like, what
I know,
were you
no,
thinking?
she's not like Zahn. I mean, as in...
okay.
I thought she was, at this point, that she was maybe planted here by Greysa. It was the next attempt of the way that they got her to get her on board. You know, they paid off the traders to put on this little show, feeling that they would probably go for that and accept her aboard.
As in, like, a Sebastian spy.
Right, yes.
Yeah,
I
clever.
Yeah, that was my thought at this point, because, like, in the scene, I thought it kind of weird how quickly she went from the frightened mouse coming off the trader after being used for their pleasure to, what is sexy? You know, it's like...
Yes,
it was
she's sort of playing the I don't know, the
innocent,
native who doesn't know all the words.
Right. A little bit like Firefly, the shipwrecker girl.
Oh, Mrs. Reynolds.
That's the one, yes.
Yosaf Bridge, I believe she's called in combination. But we get a super hot scene where Chiana has provided her with some better clothes.
Sexy clothes.
An orange dress with quite a lot of armor.
Yes. It kind of looks that way, yeah. It looks a bit like Zahn's
her vestments,
but without the blueness.
And without the
shine.
Gild,
yes.
yeah.
So yes, she is definitely playing Chiana here, leading up to a kiss.
Actual kissing.
Which gets Woody blocked by Erin.
Yes, hugely disappointing. 2003, girls kissing.
Yeah.
I had completely forgotten about this, which I guess maybe should have been an indication of the sexuality that wound up being the reality. No, certainly I knew that.
Erin calls out Chiana. It's like, what are you up to? What's going on with you? And Chiana tries to lay it on Erin.
Puts the moves on her.
And Erin says, like, no, don't go away. Like, well, maybe I'll go do John then. And she's like, I don't care.
Yeah, she's being so judgmental.
That the only reason why you brought her aboard, so you can make her your toy now?
Even though, like... She understands recreating.
Yes.
It's a way to relieve stress and fluid pressures.
You'd think so, yeah. But, I mean, she's already under the influence here.
Yeah, so they all are.
Talika goes to check out John, who's playing with a slinky, which is like, I guess he must have picked that up on Earth.
He's just standing in a room, eating chocolate, playing with a slinky. Yes, he's offering her chocolate. The one thing
fresh from Earth. Straight from Earth, yeah.
So like, no. But she knows a lot more words now. And she's quite cheeky and jovial, just like him. Actually, yeah, like, she'd be a great spy.
I know, right?
If that had been the plot
It totally felt like that at this point to me.
But then, weird sort of lensing effect anytime we see it from her perspective.
Yes.
Okay, the maps are good. We get a lovely hologram. Dargo is glad to see that it's the troublesome parts of the tormented space have been marked, so we can avoid those.
Yes, we can go around. And is this where they learned that... Yes, this is where we learned that Rigel's been counterfeiting, which makes Dargo fly into a rage.
Do you know what you've done, you selfish little tron?
Oh, yes, he's furious.
At this point, my note is like, why is everybody so angry?
And John is trying to mediate and pacify everyone, but with limited success. And then Dargo stomps off to go and call these traders to admit their fault, bumps into Talika, who's just a cold, hard bitch to him. Like, she's, oh, yeah, why would I listen to you? Nobody else listens.
Yes. Again, this cemented my thought that, like, she's trying to sow dissent and trying to play on people's fears and weaknesses.
Doing a really good job.
I know, right?
Sikozu is hanging out with Scorpius, and she's given him a glow rod glow up.
Yes, Scorpius is on a spin cycle.
4 glow rods this time. In a pretty complicated sort of setup. So where previously he used to have only 1 cooling rod on the interior of the mechanism, and then I think later on it was 3. Now they're in a centrifuge. He taps something and they turn blue again. Like
which I thought, like, they store heat. So how does, like, is the spin cycle enough to, like, dissipate that heat? It's like...
We saw Sikozu show off her chemistry kit in a previous episode where she showed that one of his spent cooling rods could apparently be
revitalized. And now but there seems that the process has been improved.
Every time that it spins, like Scorpius doesn't seem to enjoy it, or he does enjoy it. Who can tell?
It's always hard to tell with Scorpius. But yeah, they kind of like zoom in like General Grievous pulling in his arms and zip back into his head.
Oh, very good, yeah.
I noticed that it doesn't spin anymore as it's being retracted. So it used to be that it spins as it retracts, but now it just straight up retracts and then locks into place. So
it only spins on the
so she's definitely been doing modifications.
What a fantastic mechanism! I just love seeing the inside of Scorpius's head because they make it different every time.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's clearly a work in progress.
Speaking of work in progress, now
Chiana has had her taste of John like a couple of episodes ago, and apparently she wants more of the mature John now.
Oh, wow, yes. I forgot about Karen Shaw.
I've just been sitting there editing that episode, so it's...
And Scorpius, who now does the Woody blocking, and informs John, hey, we are not okay, you are not okay, everyone's behaving differently. Naranti noticed it. Naranti, not herself affected, by the way.
No, but that we learn later that Talika was...
I don't want you. You're old and bitter.
So Scorpius basically tells him off, like, some stuff needs to be done, and he's getting a little bit antsy as well.
Yes, that's right, because he's experiencing something as well.
Yes, he's been affected. Garen's side has been turned up, it seems.
Jekyll and hiding.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, so
Dr.
we
Jekyll
have to
and
find...
Mr. Scorpius. Or was it Dr. Scorpius and Mr. Hyde?
I miss Harvey.
Ah, yes.
Now I'm thinking about it.
Dr. Scorpius and Mr. Harvey. There we go.
It's time to find Talika, says John, but should ask her what's going on. John and Aaron find her, and Talika runs away. And
No, Talika blasts... John and Aaron find her, and Talika blasts them, and...
Yeah, she runs away first, and then they chase her down after informing
yes.
everyone where she is. She sets an ambush, because spiders, apparently these arachnids, are ambush predators. There's a weird thing where we can see from her perspective that she's stalking an unaware John and Aaron.
Yes.
Somehow she yells them unconscious.
Yeah.
This is a thing that apparently you can do. And then there's a great big fucking spider. It's huge.
Yeah, apparently she does very quick transformations between those two shapes.
I love that the eyes sort of look like actual eyes, like they have a slitted pupil.
Yeah.
It's such a gorgeous design.
And her mouth kind of looks like the mouth of a leech, and it kind of like schlucks onto the side of John's head. And I noticed that as soon as he wakes up, he had the same nodules or boils as the traders had. So at this point, I'm like, oh, now I know what's going on.
I thought maybe she was laying eggs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is a horrible thing to think about.
Yes, yeah, let's not think about like zombie ants or insects or whatever.
And now Aaron is scared and John is just tired. He's just giving up. He's considering these problems unsolvable. So it's up to Dargo, Chiana, and Rigel, who also get ambushed.
Yes.
And now everybody's being ambushed, and finally it's Sokozu's turn, who has returned to the expensive ventilation set with all the sort of
Yes, I
moving
noticed
scoops.
that. Like, oh, they got to use this set again.
Yeah, I kind of like it in there. It's got stuff going on.
Where Sokozu gets grabbed and literally torn limb from limb.
Oh, she's lost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Scorpius hears the scream and returns. He finds her lying on the floor with an arm and a leg ripped off.
But fortunately, Granny is there, and she knows that, oh yes, we can just reattach them. At this point, my note says, Scorpius seems to be unusually emotionally involved. But I guess that's also him being under the effect of Talika's priming, I guess.
Now, that's interesting, because Naranti describes it as his Scarran side coming to the foreground.
Yeah.
But, he's almost gallant in, when he believes she's severely injured, possibly dying.
I will kill your attacker.
Yes,
person
that's
who
what I'm saying.
attacked you, I swear
wow,
to
this
you.
seems so unlike Scorpius.
Right. So is that a Scarran trait? This sort of violent gallantry and
suppose.
loyalty? Or is this
Yeah, makes
Scarran
sense.
romance?
Makes sense. It's kinda
Interesting.
oh, God, yes, Klingon romance. John loads up. I notice how he tastes the Chakan oil
Very good.
canister before he loads it in. So yes, he's not making that mistake.
But, everyone's just sort of mellowed out a lot. Rigel's not greedy. It's Chiana who noticed this. When they're on the command, he's going, hey, none of us
Are acting the way we usually are.
She kicks Dargo repeatedly in the mivon.
And you're not even angry.
Well, I have no reason to be angry. I believe with dialogue and compromise.
There is a reason to be angry.
I really don't see how that is going to help.
Okay. How about that?
You should calm down a little bit. And it's
I really should be angry,
Agreed.
shouldn't I?
yes, that's funny as hell.
And then she grabs his hand and puts it on her boob to do further scientific testing.
The truck is taking away my sex drive.
She stole my mojo!
And now she's angry. now she's
Exactly. The bitch must die! My mojo back! Of course, it's very difficult to solve a problem like this with some highly unmotivated people who have their energies been sucked out of their brains.
So I really wanted to see what would happen if Scorpius got harvested, which unfortunately he didn't. But I would have loved to see him without all those traits and see him being played up as...
Oh, wow. He just become a straight-up accountant?
maybe,
or something?
yeah. I don't know. It would have been interesting to watch, but unfortunately that did not happen.
Yeah, because that's what this show needs. Another different character for Wayne Pygrim to play. It's been a while.
True. He gets
so
to have a lot of fun with that, though.
They've met up with the ship of non-pirate traders, which was just floating outside.
Right.
So,
So first they were
board.
first they were returning. Pilot told us, but they couldn't set up communication. And Dargo assumed that, like, oh shit, they found out about the counterfeit money, and now they're coming back to exact their revenge. But it turns out that now they're just drifting, and Dargo still thinks it's a trap. But it turns out not to be.
Yep, because someone comes stumbling out of the hatch. I see this ship also has extremely dangerous ladders
Yes.
instead of stairs. Stumbles out and dies. Job done.
Already.
That
yes.
was his whole mission, to just come out and die. Oh, he's really not doing well. His
Yes.
face was even more boily.
Crew starts to investigate the ship, finds one more person dying, and then, yes, there's a recording of a diagnostician.
I don't know if it's a recording or if it's just a call that was still open.
Well, maybe. Why would he still be talking? It seems to be more of a lecture rather than a back and forth.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially
It's
since
got a
it
lovely
runs out
sort of-
and nobody says goodbye. I mean, is it actually a diagnostician? Yeah, it is a diagnostician, isn't it?
Yes,
What's the different
diagnosan,
species?
I think the species is
Diagnosan. Oh, right.
called. No mask over the face to protect his nose and mouth, but he does have a lovely collar behind him. And then once that hologram is gone, Aaron goes,
What? We have to get it back. We have to know how to kill the creature. Get him back.
Right, yeah. Basically, it turns out that the brain spiders infects them, and then, like, one of their traits hyperactivates. That's the word I was looking for.
nice.
That trait, and then harvesting removes it. And apparently harvesting takes place, and they get put into, like, these green glowing energy
orbs.
eggs,
And
which
opening
are...
the orb in the vicinity of the victim restores it, apparently.
Yes.
Which is handy, right?
I know, right? It's super handy. But yes, they're hidden somewhere on the ship, and they have to be found.
But John considers this problem unsolvable.
Yeah, so we're dead. She's never gonna tell us.
We can't do this.
Oh.
But who is it? Is it Sikozu who comes up with the plan?
Naranti.
Naranti comes up with the plan.
No. But maybe we can get her to show us where they are. Now, Scorpius is infected, but not yet harvested.
Yeah, she's
Like,
a clever woman, that Naranti.
Well, so why don't we wake him up again and then use him for bait?
Yeah.
Which Sikozo is opposed against, because she still has the hots for Scorpius.
Oh, yes, and there's also the bit where the trader ship leaves after they've done the investigation. Mm-hmm. So they assume that Talika is on board.
Because they can't find her, yes.
Dargo, Naranti, and Chi, and maybe Rigel all get aboard Lola and go after it.
Yes.
Until they board and find out, oh, it was a trick. By the way, gorgeous shot of that trader ship in a nebula.
Oh, yes.
Been a while since I've appreciated the excellent CGI on this 2003 television program.
Yeah, Dargo's still super timid.
Yeah, he's really reasonable. He's really
Yes.
like I actually can't. Like, I would love to work with this version,
This version
of Dargo,
Oh, yes.
but I miss the real, the full extra Dargo.
So yes, they go about the ship, more dead people. Turns out, oh no, it was on autopilot. Dren, we have to go back.
Sikozu fingers Scorpius's mouth to sort of
Yes.
wake him up. Oh, yes, it's the wakey.
She puts something in his mouth and goes, swallow this, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she gets them something waved under her nose earlier as well, woken up by Naranti.
It looked like a lacquer pellet.
It did a bit, yes.
Which is not how I'd love to be woken up, I guess.
No. Who knows? Maybe it's just like a generic sniffable deposit device, you know.
Oh, like so. Yeah, you can just put
Just
your smelling salts
just a little
in
bulb
or
of whatever it is, and you want them to sniff that up.
So Scorpius wakes up and he's Mr. Hyde. He's grunting and
He picks Kozu up like he's his bride, which is being carried over the
woman.
Yes.
The animal from the Muppet School of Romance. John's doing his best with Mr. Sparky, Dargo's big old weapon,
Oh yes.
to go hunting for Talika. It's Naranti who finds her and is rejected by
Yeah.
the ageist spider.
Yes.
Who doesn't enjoy.
Old people emotions, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, is it ageism or is it just like, you know, like tough beef, old beef is also stringy, you know? I can guess imagine that the older and more jaded someone gets, that their emotions become less tasty. It's...
Well, that's certainly been my experience growing up.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, I'm just very briefly reminded of the excellent film What We Do in the Shadows by Taika
Oh,
Waititi,
yes.
featuring Jermaine Clement and a bunch of others, where someone talks about, well, so why do vampires go for virgins? Well, it's like if you have a sandwich, you will just enjoy it more if you know that no one has fucked it.
Yes.
Pardon me. Oh, there's a gorgeous shot of Talika's eyes. I don't know if they gave her like full black contact lenses, but they're so dark and reflective, like spiders' eyes. It was really, really gorgeous.
I mean, I've never really gazed into a spider's eyes, but...
I've seen some close-ups. There's this beautiful one from a nature documentary by Sir David Attenborough, which is about this little male spider that approaches a much larger female spider, which is very dangerous, and she keeps chasing it off. And then, in the beautiful poetic voice of David Attenborough, he talks about that this male spider who feels the call of romance has one more thing that he can do to impress her, and that is dance. And flamenco music starts, and he puts on this little tail, and he does this little wiggly arm dance, and he jumps away any time that she tries to kill him, because he's just literally dancing for his life.
Okay, yeah.
Which is what I was reminded of as John sort of flails at Talika, because he just doesn't have it in him.
No, this is the part especially where it felt a bit like overacting. You know, I was like, oh no, I'm so bored. And like, oh, nothing's going to work and happen. You know, it's like, I understand it from a plot point, but it didn't feel very...
Bad guys always see me, because my plans suck. People die. It's always a mess.
I actually don't have to
genuine,
fake
I
love in
suppose.
this episode now, because this was one of my favorite bits. Like, I felt so bad for John here, because imagine like not having your mojo,
Right.
which is, I guess, what burnout or depression or other forms of mental illness of varying degrees of severity and longevity.
No, fair point.
That your mind doesn't work how you expect it to work, and you don't have the traits that you rely on to be successful.
Good point.
So he's even saying, like, just end it. I'm tired. Kill me. Fast, slow.
I like it slow.
Oh, God, I was afraid you were going to say that. Bring it on.
Meanwhile, Sokozu's trying to crawl her way up the wall towards the nest egg of Talika.
But she actually protects John. She distracts Talika at the cost of her own safety, because Talika has previously ripped her limb from limb.
Yes.
We don't get a transformation.
No, like I said, it's really quick, but it's like just off screen. It's like you get to see John's expression, and then the next shot of Talika is back in her spider form.
Which I kind of like. I like this much better than a poor sort of morph.
Right, yes. So there's a little bit of shooting, but he actually has to stuff the gun down her gob and then fire it at point-blank range before it goes boom.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that she was a bit of a gas bag.
It sort of reminded me of, I think it's called Dead Calm, where I think the villain in the end is shot with a flare gun, like through the back of his mouth, so his face is glowing. Something truly horrendous like that.
Yes. I think I know the shot that you mean.
Yeah.
Well, that might have been done in other movies as well. Yeah, where you can see their eyes starting to glow as the flare gun burns in their head or something like that. But
Yeah, phenomenal energy.
Yes.
But apparently, like, Aaron's mystery of, oh no, how do we kill this spider is not such a mystery after all. You just shoot it a bunch.
I mean, it works for a lot of things.
Yeah. It's sort of the Farscape story.
Yeah.
Shoot it a bunch.
Yes. So crisis averted, problem solved, soup served.
Yes.
So they're actually eating Talika soup here?
Ah, excellent, Naranti. Best roasted spider soup I ever ate.
It's the only spider soup I ever ate, but it's really quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Continuing
seems...
a tradition that they did previously with the Kidva when they
Yeah.
were all starving, which we thought they were only doing because, like, finally we have our source of protein. What if they've been doing this to every enemy they kill on their ship?
Wow. I mean,
This whole time.
that's kind of horrific to think about.
Right? Because those Peacekeeper commandos had to go somewhere.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Peacekeeper sandwiches the next day.
Yeah. But yes, it's Dargo and Rigel who are enjoying the soup.
Yeah, which they've never had before, but it is actually very good.
Spider soup, yeah.
Yes, she's quite a good cook. I do believe spiders are eaten in several cultures. I think usually they're...
Tarantulas are roasted occasionally.
Oh, there's a Vietnamese region where they're deep fried.
Oh, okay.
Now that I could possibly get into.
Deep fried spiders.
Deep fried anything, frankly.
Yeah. It does, like, especially if you wrap it in batter or dough first. A spider rangoon.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Is the problem with the Gif, or does Scorpius still have, like, foam on his mouth?
He looks like it. I think it might be a Gif. No, it's a Gif problem.
It is a Gif problem. I'm a little bit disappointed.
Yes. So, Sokozu is laying down the law for Scorpius.
Yes, she's doing an interesting thing where she's asking a really shitty question, which is, hey, which is worse? Us seeing your Scarran side or you being reminded of it?
Yeah, yes.
And he rejects that assertion, and she bats it right back. Like she says, I'll be your ally, but the price...
Inclusion and trust.
Yeah.
So she wants to be involved, and she wants him to trust her. And that's... Yeah.
Tough thing to ask from Scorpius.
I guess we're getting factions on board more, yeah. I mean, we kind of had that. It's kind of been building like that Sokozu and Scorpius are up to something. And they're, like, apparently interested in each other as well, as we've seen from Scorpius' Scarran side. Mm-hmm. So this is interesting. And Sokozu definitely has the hots for Scorpius. I mean, maybe just for his brain, but...
Well, it is the largest sexual organ in the body.
Fair.
Certainly by the number of calories it consumes. And we get a scene with, once again, Aaron's sitting on the ground in a hallway.
Holding one of the Laka pods.
And John comes up to her, and he rejects her, again very theatrically. Which, now that you've talked about how extra he is, I kind of appreciate what he was doing here, because even though he's supposed to be completely reset, he's still overacting the drama a little bit, and then we find out why.
Right, because apparently Scorpius has been using the comm system to listen in on everybody.
And John's strategy this whole time has been to reject Erin so that Scorpius doesn't realize that she is everything to him.
Right, because he literally says,
If you figure this out, the world and all that's in it is nothing. He will use you and the baby, and I will not be able to stop him.
And the implicit thing is, because I won't want to, because there's something that I want
Right,
much
yes.
more than to prevent.
and in order to be able to talk to Erin about this in the plane, he gets Pilot to do a little diagnostic of the comm system.
Which shuts down communications for about 30 seconds.
Yes.
And he explains all this to Erin, and Erin says, well, you're being a little bit paranoid. Do you think he's really using the comm system? And then conveniently...
Pilot, are we having a problem with the comms?
Oh, what a bad spy.
Yes.
Never play your hand like that. But we get this glorious moment of trust between...
Right, where it's opposite day for a moment.
It is
where they
opposite
say,
o'clock. So it's definitely over then, and they're both smiling.
and they're kissing, and I'm just like, okay, what is the show, and what did they do with Farscape? 'Cause this is not what we're supposed to see in the ending of a Farscape episode. It's like people being happy and kissing.
It's supposed to be worse. Well, it kind of is, but hey, what did you think of this resolution of this arc?
Oh, well, it's interesting. It certainly came out of the blue.
Caught me by surprise too, and I've seen the show before.
Right. They were really piling up the antagonism between John and Erin from both sides, and especially playing up the whole, like, now, just as one comes around, then something happens which throws the other off again, and honestly, it was getting a little bit old.
We have seen this game before, haven't
Right,
we?
yes.
But now it turns out it was a different game.
Right, but it's been resolved. Well, of course, now there's still going to be... They still can't let Scorpius onto that they're good and involved with each other now, so there's going to have to be a lot of that. But Scorpius is clever. He can see them sneaking off and, like, being quiet, being nice to each other when... they think he's not watching. No, that's not. This is totally not going to last for very long for one way or other. But it's nice to see that they're back again.
I genuinely love
that it's been done and over with. So,
and that also, like, this, what felt like repetition of a drama we've seen before, was actually something else. It was a different strategy that John was doing. He was, like, being sort of romantic in his own way.
Right.
But not so much from a perspective of, like, protecting Erin.
Mm-hmm.
He was protecting himself, which is a totally valid thing to do for someone who's in a relationship.
Yeah, true.
One also has to take care of himself. And even though he couldn't include Erin in that might have been more to do with, like, he probably couldn't have pulled it off.
No, if they'd, like, coordinated it, then it probably wouldn't have quite worked as well as it did like this. I'm just wondering how he figured out that Scorpius was using the comm system.
I mean, it's not paranoia if they're really after you.
It kind of is, actually, but...
Is it?
Yes, you can be paranoid and they're still after you.
Yes, no, that...
I mean, just being wrong, like, just being right doesn't mean you're not paranoid.
Yes, it can be true and you can still be wrong. Yes, understood. I don't know, I guess... Assumption, deduction, like what else does everybody have on them all the time?
He is a scientist.
Sometimes, yeah.
All right, let's go.
She gives me a Woody.
She gives you the willies. Girls kissing. Finally. Finally. I know it's only mild, and I know that it's... Science fiction has a noble tradition of showing taboo-defying intimacy on screen, such as the famous kiss between Jim Kirk and Uhura in Star Trek the original series, but it is often couched in a moment of mind control or lack of lucidity, which is the case here for Chiana, because her sex drive was oversexed and was actually a deceiving spider. But it was still girls kissing and just...
She's been... showing interest in girls before, hasn't she?
She did some mighty fine dancing with Jewel back on the party planet.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, okay, that's your Woody then, I guess.
Yes, but not that way.
Even though it was Woody blocked by Erin.
Like, I genuinely appreciate this for what it is, like a degree of representation and inclusion that warms my heart, and that I hope was delightful and like affirming for all my lesbian and bisexual female friends out there. It's like, I loved it. Close second, I guess, is this resolution to the arc between John and Aaron.
Okay.
But how about you?
Well, I'd be hard-pressed to assign a Willy anywhere in this episode. If
Boils, I guess.
No, that's just like,
Oh, wow, you really have been jaded by Farscape, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's just like, first I thought like, oh, these are some mighty ugly aliens, but then it turns out that...
And this is space acne.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, if anything, I would have to say the overacting, but that was like part of the plot, so it kind of... If that hadn't been a plot point, then I would have said, like, I would have called the overacting my Willy, but that's not fair because it was the point. So that's I'm really hard pressed. I don't think I can assign a Willy to this episode.
I think my Willy's going to go. I have the same difficulty as you, but like seen it before. We have seen this before. They've done it before, which is actually kind of lampshaded, or a lantern is hung on it, as Marty would say in that episode of Stargate, where Chiana. Don't bring a freed person on board. You brought the Vork on board, and remember how that turned out for us.
Yes, that's actually thrown out at her.
And John goes, "Oh, is she pulling a Traltix? Is she mind felling us? Because there also that happened. They're eating it like the Kidva. Like all of these things have happened before. All of them in bottle episodes.
I mean, yes, that makes sense.
Using the same sets. So, like, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, Pinky. Or, sorry, David Kemper, I should say.
Yes. Woody-wise, I think it's going to have to be Dargo's expression when he's talking to Rigel right at the end, and Rigel is like, "Oh, you don't seem to be, are you sure still not under the effect? You seem to be not quite so angry anymore." And he just leans over and gives him this like super saccharine look and say,
"Would you like me to show you how angry I am?"
No. So that scene definitely gets my Woody. It's that little smirk on his face when he
very good sheep. Just leaning in. And once again, it's the actors who make the puppets come to life as much as the excellent puppeteers.
Yes.
Like, this like furious eye contact that's getting right up close. I remember that was when we did a live stream with Gigi Edgley on her stream. It occurred to me to ask her, "Hey, what did Rigel smell like?"
Oh.
And I was heartbroken to find out that they don't have a smell, that the foam latex is essentially scentless. That didn't necessarily have to be the case. Like, was there a scent of oil for the lubrication, for the
makeup,
armature?
the paint that he's been sprayed with. Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Pretty Farscape-ass episode, wasn't it?
I think so, yes.
All right, what do we have in store for our readers next time? Wow, that is a blast from the past from a podcast that we haven't done in a while.
Yes, let's see. I think we have to push the button, don't we?
Is it this one?
I think so. That's the story so Farscape.
Wow, we really are out of it, aren't we?
Yes.
So, okay, we'll get back.
Next week there will be more Tales from Tormented Territories.
Oh.
And after that, the week we will be doing episode 415, Mental as Anything, where Scorpius brings the boys of Moya to receive special training from an individual named Katoya. Ka Dargo comes to face with his wife's murderer, Macton Tau. Wow, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah. Wow, okay, this sounds like a grudge match for the century. So tune in. Tuesday. We'll sell you the seat, but you'll only need the edge. We're at So Farscape on Facebook and Twitter, where I have not been doing the best job keeping up, but hopefully that will have been straightened out by the time that this airs. Thank you so much to all of our... Actually, I had a tab open that seems to have closed itself, because what we haven't done in a while is mention our fantastic Patreon supporters who make a lot of this possible. Like all the recording equipment that we're looking at here and the research materials that I've got at my disposal are all thanks to our supporters on Patreon who continue to join. So let me see if I can rattle off some of these names of the people who've made all this. Well, let me see. Oh wow, gosh, there really are. It's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
It's a very lot. Like, how many per page are there? We've got 2 pages. We've got 54 supporters
people on Patreon. Wow,
that's amazing.
I had no idea.
So let me see if I can remember, like Jerry, yes, Icarus Abides, Vixie Vengeance, I've got Ben Belfield, Oh, your boyfriend joined as well. Yes.
Oh,
we
yeah,
remember
he's
that.
a very early on joiner.
Horsebird, Chris Stewart, John Bunger, Guardian Lion, Kathy, Dan. I think it's pronounced Vega.
That sounds like a Dutch name.
Possibly should have not mentioned the full name, but at least Nicholas Gross. I wonder if they're related to Guy Gross, the composer.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Interesting. Okay, now I'm definitely going to stop doxing people on this podcast. I'm sorry about that. Jonathan, Lucy, Matthew, Izzy, Jess, Brennan, Acticor. Oh, yes, of course.
Yes.
Vona, VHS, Black Rain, Paul, David, Andy, Life on Fire. Ooh. Ugo, Kaz, Nazi, Mand, Neil. Shit, I just did it again. Sorry. Andrew, Oatcake, Michelle, Ruth, Kat, The Derp, Daniel, Alex, Razael, Christy, and Mr. Smith, and Keith, most recently. This is incredible.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Yes, anytime that somebody joins, I always send them a message and like to let them know how they can hear the bonus episodes that we recorded back in the day, and always also to ask them like, how the fuck did you find out about us specifically and Farscape in general?
Yes.
We've got some really fantastic stories. So, wow. I'm so sorry for everyone that we didn't do these shout-outs before, because I think we did claim that those were a perk on our Patreon.
We did at some point. We've done these before, but maybe not on this
It
quite.
has been a while.
Quite so yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
it's really wonderful. If you want to join, you can find us at you can find sofarscape.com/links, where you'll find the link to our Patreon. If you want to join, send us your synopses. We only have a limited number of episodes coming up, and of course, fanfic recommendations are always welcome. I think that's the end of the spiel.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, then this time I am Kaki.
And I'm Kay.
So Farscape, so good.